Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. So we are going to be looking at our second dive into Heaven Official's Blessing Volume 1. So we're looking at chapters, it's 3 and 4 in this book that covers pages 88 through 142. It's technically, we're in the middle of chapter 3. We're going to finish that and do chapter 4, but it's looking at the serialized chapters 8 through 11. Now, I decided to do that not based on the audio drama because there's no audio drama episode this week. I was like, so for some reason, and I've heard various accounts, there's like the tinfoil hat theories about how people were talking in Discord about how maybe the first episode didn't do as well as they thought, but then somebody else was like, it got over 2 billion hits. How did it not do well? And then there's the backlash about the voice actors. Some people say it's technical difficulties. Whatever the case may be, the second episode of Heaven Official's Blessing, the audio drama, has not dropped yet. There is an extra, though, so thank you, Pichu. Thank you. You're a saint. They sent me a link to the extra one that's going to be on here. So what I'm going to do is a little bit different than last week. Sorry for the change up, but I was like, well, if I don't have an audio drama, everyone on Discord and everyone on Patreon was like, keep going. Let's not stop. Let's just keep going. We're going to read the novels. We're going to talk about the story. I'm okay with that. And then when the Donghua comes out, it's great. We'll watch the Donghua and fangirl to heart. I figured it this way. When the Donghua and the live action come out, it'll just be like when I watched the Untamed from Odazushi. When I watched the Untamed from Odazushi, I already knew the story and the characters. I could just fangirl endlessly. And so I don't think that's a bad thing. So we'll just do that. We'll do that. It'll be cool watching those versions. But we're gonna keep on trucking. People want me to get the scumbag self-saving system at some point. Scum villain. I keep calling it scumbag. I love it. But anyway, so the order of this video is going to be a little bit different than last week. We are first going to look at the novel, chapters 8 through 11, the web version, or parts 3 and 4 in the English adaptation. We're going to look at that. We're going to talk about it. I'm probably going to pause the video, the reaction, after I do the book and go look at the Manhua so I can get pictures, so I can bring them up and incorporate them as I do my discussion. We're going to talk about the Manhua and the novel. Then I've got 2 things I'm going to do for this video. One is going to be the extra from episode 1 that was last week, and it's only like a couple minutes long. And then the other one is going to be, everyone says that I need to react to One Sword, One Flower. And I was like, or One Flower, One Sword. It's the song that plays at the end of episode 1 in the Donghua. And I was like, okay, I forgot that one. So that's what I'm going to do. I got the English lyrics pulled up. It's the Billy Billy video. I've got it pulled up. I'm going to watch it and react to it at the very end here and incorporate it. I feel like it's very fitting that it's incorporated into this video because we are picking up right where we left off with Shilian coming out of the sedan and taking Hua Chang's hand. So it feels very appropriate that we would react to One Flower, One Sword at the end of this episode. So that's the plan anyway. That's my goal. It may vary week to week. If the audio drama picks back up, then I will probably incorporate the audio drama episodes into the I'll probably start with the audio drama to like give us a refresher. And then if there's anything new that is included from the 100,000 words that she's added, we'll talk about it then and then move into the novel and go from there. But that's the plan anyway that I've got going, and it may change week to week, so it'll be a surprise. But I like the idea of I'm going to be reacting to the novel. In the last video I went off screen and read for my book, but I have the web serialization pulled up that someone sent me, and so I'm going to do exactly what I did in the Modazushi extra chapters. I'm going to react to reading it live with you all, and I've got a place to take notes. And then I'll just edit it to where you're not sitting there watching me like stare blankly at the screen. But when I decide to bring something up, it'll be on here. So it's going to be a little bit different, but hopefully you all enjoy it. It's like we got to do what we got to do with MXTX, and we'll make it work. My motto is we'll make it work. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm excited, y'all. I'm ready to dive into these chapters and see what all we get. Just to record myself with them. We're going to do that. And yeah, so we'll do that here. I'm going to get it to where I can record the screen with the book. And so then we are going to start chapters 8 through 11 of Heaven Official's Blessing. And we're going to do that there in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. I realize how daunting this book is because we're only covering like chapters 8 through 11. and there's like 200 chapters of this book. I'm like, over 200 chapters. I'm like, oh my God. And it's crazy because you think that this first season of the Donghua, you have just like, I don't know, an idea of where the story's going, and you're like, wow, this was a drop in the bucket. We're not even into the story. I'm like, oh. So I imagine a lot of people on Twitter and such are anime only maybe, or haven't read the entire novel. So I'm like, maybe, but I'm like, how much story can MXTX put with these two? What is she going to do to us? And I'm a little scared to find out, right? But okay. So chapter 8, the ghost takes a bride. The crown prince mounts the bridal sedan. Aha! Should he give his hand or no? It's gonna be fun going back into this version and seeing if there's anything different from the web serialization, but it's much more easier to react to this part up here. Below the veil, Shilian can see the dead body of a wolf that the silk strand had strangled to death by his feet. Oh, an idea came to him, and he tripped, falling forward with an alarmed gasp. Oh, okay. Y'all mentioned this in the Donghua, that there was a reason they tripped, and I was like, no spoilers, so here we go. Okay, the man immediately reached out and caught him. Shilian also twisted his hand and caught the man's arm and felt something cold. He was wearing a pair of silver van braces in his wrist, and he can't see anything through the veil. The van brace was exquisite and beautiful. Maple leaves, okay, butterflies and savage beasts were engraved on them. Oh, ancient objects of foreign tribes. They locked around the man's wrists, and they appeared refined and agile. Icy silver hands without a trace of light, but carried a killing and evil aura. Oh, okay. It was a feint. He was testing him. Oh, it was... Oh, so Ryui was ready to strike at any moment, but he just guided him forward. Oh. Huh. And he supported him as if he was afraid he'd trip and fall again. Wow. To be treated this way, he couldn't help but think if he was a real groom, then he'd genuinely be the most gentle and considerate one. Shut up! Oh my God! Foreshadowing! Foreshadowing! Who's the cinnamon bun? Hua Chong or Shilian or both? Oh, like he was comforting him, telling him not to worry. They were so soft and so gentle. Oh, and the wolves were whimpering. Oh man, they're building up just how terrifying Hua Chong is, like in the first paragraph of this. And of course, Shilian's curiosity would be even stronger. Of course it would be. The black leather boots. Long and slender legs, looking extremely beautiful as they walked. Of course, of course. Wow, as if nothing could block him and stand in his way. And there's the skull. It was an array, yeah. And he crushed the skull to dust. He crushed with one step the entire enchantment into a mound of wasted dust. Yeah, okay, we're not dealing with your average ghost here. Everything about this situation was oddly charming to the extreme. That's Heaven Official's blessing. Everything is oddly charming. Yes. And he was waiting to attack him the moment he lifted the veil up. He had to be apprehended, controlled, and then talked to. Okay. And he's shattered into 1,000 of silver butterflies. Oh, the sight was as beautiful as a fantastic dream. So was that youth the ghost groom? That youth, the ghost groom. He didn't think so. Okay. All right, we're at the Temple of Mingguang. Man, what an entrance. Hua Chong. What an entrance. All right, so the martial god of the north. Yep, okay. All right. Was also that General Pei, that Ling Wen spoke in the communication, whose worship was abundant in the north. Yep, so Mingguang is also General Pei. I don't like the use of the word rotting when they're talking about the rotting smell. It's like, ugh, describing that. And there's the brides, and they all smell of rot. Lovely. Ooh, it was a tragically pale face, so white that it was faintly glowing green with the soft light of the moon shining on it. It was quite horrifying. Oh, and there's a smile. Oh, ew, ooh. That is creepy. A bunch of smiling dead women. Smiling corpses. Ew, nope, I can see why they didn't want to animate that. And then he hears the child's lullaby again. Okay. An authentic male through and through, and born a notch taller than women. Oh, I love that Shi-Lian is described as an authentic male. How interesting. Oh, and the ghost was checking the corpses. It was indeed the little mob boss. Oh my gosh. Shi-Lian gave a frustrated cry inwardly. Ah, I love it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Getting sassy. Don't move. My lady, what's your name? He's like, really? He was still dressed as a woman. Yeah. Ha! So old Ying made him look like a woman real good, huh? Nanfeng Fuyao, come aid me quick! Oh my gosh! Oh, and her asking Shi-Lian for help, being like, I helped dress you up, I helped put makeup on you, help me. It's a mission requirement, Nanfeng Fuyao, help me, back me up! Oh, and Shi-Lian is trying to be like, why doesn't everyone come outside first? And the air is in the back of this temple is heavy with corpses, and without any ventilation, it'd be bad for normal folks to breathe it in. He's like, everyone, let's not go. And then Ying tried to help too, but I like they say that, but this group didn't even bother to listen to Shi-Lian, so why would they listen to her? No one paid attention. But Ying didn't give up and repeated herself a few times. And they already pulled off all the veils, even though Shi-Lian was like, please don't do that. Oh, I like that Nanfeng and Shi-Lian share a look there. So this is interesting. At this point, they're like trying to decide if they're going to feel up the corpses or not, which is disgusting. And Shi-Lian, he's like, he couldn't bear to watch anymore and was about to stop him. But Zhao Ying says, she's like, don't do this. She's like, you're going to incur heaven's wrath like this. Which is funny because the heavenly realm doesn't have any involvement with this until the very end. It's the ghost who gets involved. So it's funny, they don't incur heaven's wrath, they incur the ghost's wrath. They incur Shang-Chi's wrath, which is hilarious, you know? I hate when they call her ugly, though. It's so sad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a blood stain on the rock. Oh. Oh my gosh. But it was the kid with the bandages that threw the rock. Oof. Oh, okay. So where he's like, oh, you got the blood on him. So the blood came from the forest. This isn't our blood. So y'all said this was described worse in the novel, so I wanted to get to this point and be like, okay, all right. Even a face covered in blood could not hide their horrible expressions. The group followed those men's eyes and looked into the forest. It was pitch black, so they could not exactly see what lay within. Shi-Lian took over a torch, took a few steps forward, and then raised it to probe ahead. Something in the darkness dripped onto the torch, giving off a sizzle sound. He glanced at the torch before looking up. After composing himself for a moment, he raised his hand and then tossed the torch up. Although the torch that had been hurled up had only illuminated the area overhead for an instant, everyone still got a clear look of what had been above the trees. Long black hair, deathly white faces, tattered military officer uniforms, and arms dangling in the air. The swinging corpses of more than 40 men, suspended upside down at varying heights on the trees. No one knew for how long their blood had flowed, but it had yet to dry up. They dripped and dripped, forming a terrifying scene, a forest of hanging corpses amidst a falling rain of blood. Oh, gross! Okay. Wow. The green ghost. It's his favorite trick. Our trash king Qirong doing this bloody forest. Uh-huh. A near supreme. You mean close to the power level of supreme? That's right. The near supreme green ghost is a malicious creature who's evaluated by the palace of Ling Wen to be close to that of supreme. He adores games like the Forest of Hanging Corpses. You could say he's famous. There's a spot here where Shi-Lian thinks something, but it's not listed, so that's weird. I wonder why it's like that. And they recalled when Hua Chong had done there. So yes, we get our Qirong intro. That he's into all sorts of nasty stuff. He's old Greg. I just want Chi-Rong to be the old from. It's like from a British comedy show, but it's like old Greg. I want Chi-Rong to be old Greg. Can that happen? I love the idea that we see Nanfeng and Fu Yao exchanging looks, their face almost green, it's so grim, being like, you can't, the green ghost is merely a near supreme. The ghost groom is merely a savage. You can't handle Hua Chong. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to head back. And he's like, the master of those silver butterflies never showed any hint of malice. If he's really as terrifying as you say, then for several miles within the perimeter of Mount Eugen, shouldn't have been able to escape from his hands. So go back and get reinforcements. Interesting. I want to look up real quick. I have some notes that we'll talk about back from here. But okay, so based on our notes, it's funny because Nanfeng is with Mu Qing and Fu Yao is with Feng Shen, which is funny because Feng Shen's the one that stuck with Xi Lian like up until the end when he left, and then Fu Yao in this series wants to like peace out as soon as he can. So that's funny that there's that contrast there. I think that's interesting. So yeah, so he thought that Ying and the bandaged boy were a couple, but she's more like a sister taking care of him. Okay, it's more like a sibling relationship. And she didn't want them, she wanted him to go away because people were gonna scapegoat him as the ghost groom, which is an interesting tie-in too, because then you have Ban Yu later on, and Xi Lian is afraid that Ban Yu will be scapegoated as being the problem with all the men going missing, when really it was Pei Jr. that was responsible. So that's an interesting parallel of Xi Lian finding out now, Ying talking about being worried that the boy with the bandages would be scapegoated, so she hid him away. And the same thing kind of happened with Pei Jr. and Ban Yu. So it's interesting that they have that kind of tie-in together. Okay, so the girl talks about how with the temples, that something keeps happening to all the temples. And so they switched them to General Nanyang, which makes sense now because Shanji was trying to like get his temples gone. It was all too simple. Xi Lian cracked the code! He cracked the code! He knew what was up! Alright. All too simple. Alright. Lend me some spiritual powers. Alright. Of the 18 brides, there's only 17. He's like, no. Oh, this is great! No. There were only 17 brides before, but now there are 18. And one of them is a fake, the ghost groom. Ah, yeah. Okay, and Ru Yi has the bandage. Alright, so he's like, Ling Wen the all-knowing, I have a question for you. Did the Martial Guard of the North, General Ming Guang, have any intimate female friends? This guy's situation, there's a dozen dead people chasing me. Oh, that awful? Not too horrible, It's more a personal question, alright. It's necessary for the mission. It's that old Pei really has too many intimate female friends. I don't know which one you're talking about. Oh. He's like, tell me more. He befriended the female general of an enemy of state on the battlefield. Shanji. Alright, so definitely a womanizer, old Pei Ming. Definitely a womanizer. I like that as we're telling this, as Ling Wen is telling him the story, he's like literally kicking corpses off of him. It's like you could just see it playing out like in the Donghua. And parts of this web version are like cut out, so I'm like got my book beside me with it. And so he's like, well, you can't hit a lady's face. So he changed position and kicked her shoulder instead. As he's listening to her. She says it was a beautiful tale at first, but what killed it was that Shanji was adamant about being General Pei's lover for the rest of his life. And I like Xi Lian's like, there isn't anything wrong for a woman to want to be the only lover in a lifetime. And Ling Wen says there isn't. But when two countries clash, the battlefield is heartless. Those two had originally willingly agreed that it was going to be a short-lived affair, that today would exist but not tomorrow, and speak only of romance and not of war. But someone like old Pei, I'll be honest, it's already pretty good if he doesn't cheat on you. So he's a known cheater. Awesome. I know a lot of people like him, but I'm like, oh, cool. A guy that's known for cheating, and that's just part of it. Sweet. I love this. He's like, hold on. Before we go any further, tell me first, is Shanji handicapped? Where is she handicapped? It's her. And then her voice comes to a stop. Goodness sakes, every time when he listened to the most important part, the bit of spiritual power he borrowed would run out. Oh my gosh. It seemed next time he'd have to get straight to the point right from the start. Oh my gosh. Xilian, your humor, my dear. When every dot was connected other than jealousy and possessiveness, Xilian couldn't think of any other answers. I love that line. And she like laments. She's like, Pei, dear, oh dear Pei. I betrayed my kingdom for you, abandoned everything, and became like this. Why won't you come see me anymore? Could your heart be made of iron? So Shanji said she betrayed her kingdom for General Pei. Could that mean that this General Pei she spoke of tricked her into spilling enemy secrets while the two were in the heat of passion, causing Shanji's kingdom to fall into disadvantage on the battlefield? She also said that it was because of General Pei that she'd become like this, and this naturally meant this tragic broken legs disposition. Shanji was a woman general upon the battlefield. There's no way she was crippled. So those legs of hers could only have been broken later. Could this have something to do with General Pei too? Was it because of General Pei abandoning what he had started that led to a deep, severe resentment? Gee, wow, Xilian, you're having pretty much the same thoughts I've had about Pei Ming this entire time. So yeah, Xilian just trying to get the whole story, get the whole picture on Pei Ming. Xilian saw that it was the Pei again, or Ping again, and mentally grumbled that he should have whipped harder earlier. Best if the man was whipped so hard he didn't walk for 3 days and 3 nights. Oh my god, Cinnamon, our churro! The mob, they call him Little Mob Boss instead of Ping, which is cute. Oh. Having only made it this far did he finally learn what fear meant. He wailed at the top of his lungs while Shanji curled her 5 fingers, digging them deep into the back of his head. In an instant, his skull was pulled out from a heavy layer of flesh of his head. What? The skull that was just peeled out was still steamingly hot, its mouth still wide open and screaming, ah! What? The people within the circle also had their mouths wide open and were screaming, so terrified their souls had left their body. That is freakish. What? Oh. And she crushed the head in terror that was screaming, oh my god. Nope. And that's curious because Xilian says, he tries to tell her, he's like, is there any way you could have done this in a saner method? If someone used this method because they wanted to see me, I would have zero desire to show up. So that is a good point. He's like, you know, was there no other way you could have saw him? Like, I don't know if I'd want to come if somebody was acting this way. So it's probably good that Hua Chong, who had the ability to do this even more, decided to take a much gentler approach. It's a good thing he did that. Oh, and this is where Ying dies. Oh. Oh, no. She was gonna, like, yank the skull out, too. Okay, so I had to bring the book up because the thing had cut out. Even if it's pointless, Xiao Ying should not have been left in this position right before her death. Yeah. And she's still alive. She manages to say, young master, I've made things worse. You don't need to come for me. I know as any help, there won't be a next time. Oh. I'm just born unlucky. But even then, I still... Oh. Oh. Xilian reached out and helped her close her eyes, speaking to her mentally. You're stronger than me. Oh, that's so sad. And that's when as soon as she said, he says, you're stronger than me, the bell tolls. Okay. And the bridges had collapsed to the ground. Oh. And then that's when they show up. This General Pei didn't quite match what he'd imagined. It was also grossly different from the divine statues. The statue's heroic form was vivacious, its eyes spirited and energetic, a handsomeness that was aggressive and invasive. While this young military general, who also was handsome, his complexion was pale, his brows were calm as cool jade. There was no sense of murderous aura, only a rippleless tranquility. Ah, he was a military general, but he could be said to be a tactician, which makes sense because he's Zhao later on and does all the tactician work, getting people into the city. Oh, that's interesting. So you have General Pei facing the front and Pei Jr. facing the back, but they're both worshipped at the same place. Interesting, because they have the same name. Ruoyi, I love that he's like the carpet from Aladdin, and that he's like affectionate and like kind of touchy-feely, but then he like kills things. It's great. And then Shanji just yells at him. And I wonder now, looking back and reading this, I wonder if Pei Jr. was thinking that this is what Banyu could become. If, she was that's why he wants to keep her safe. He wants to keep Banyu safe because she knows him, but also because he wants to keep her safe because he doesn't want her to end up like Shanji. That's something. Okay. And then, so Pei Jr. says she did betray her kingdom, but the details in between might be different than what bystanders might imagine. After she and General Pei separated in order to retain him, Shanji offered up military intelligence of her own volition. Pei was unwilling to win unfairly, so he didn't take the offer. And so, yeah, he says, well, now, he never expected that whole I betrayed my kingdom for you thing to actually be something like that. Okay. And she did it to tie herself to his side. Yeah, that is going a bit far. And then she killed herself in resentment. Just so General Pei would be sad. But pardon my bluntness. The way he spoke had always been polite and overly calm. That would never happen. He's like, who the heck are these people? I love Shilian's listening to this whole story and he's like, who the hell are these people? What's going on? Oh my God. Oh my God. I love it. He's like, this is too much drama. Too much drama for me. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I like that General Pei Jr. says, I don't know the right and wrong of all this either. I only know that if General Shanji was willing to let go, things wouldn't have had to be this way. Your Highness, the servant will take his leave. And Nanfang's like, weirdos. Wow. Shilian thought inwardly he himself was the laughing stock of the three realms, an infamous weirdo, so he best not comment on anyone else. Ah, yeah, so I like that. I like that Shilian is still like, yeah, we best not judge. He's like, I'm kind of the weirdo. I'm the black sheep of the heavenly realm. I'm probably not the best person to judge anyone. So yeah, let's talk about this bandaged boy. Let's talk about him. The boy's head was bleeding. Take off your bandages and let me look. I promise I won't be scared off by you. So as the boy's unwrapping the bandages, Shilian is wondering about the issues that would come after. This boy for sure can't stay at Mount Eugen anymore, but where can he go? He can't come back to the heavens with me, and I don't even know what my next meal is. So I'll have to think of a dependable way to settle him, and the green ghost Qirong. And just as Shilian saw that face in its entirety, he felt all the blood in his veins had drained thoroughly. Oh, and is that the end of the chapter? Is that the end of the chapter? It is. Okay. I'm gonna go look at the manhwa and then come back to this, and we will talk about this some more. Oh, so man, okay, so for the record, going through these notes, I didn't touch on the notes that people had left in the comments. I got so caught up in explaining how this was going to be organized that I forgot to mention everybody's comments. So we might as well we'll just talk about it now. We'll just talk about it now before we get into the actual extra and the song reaction. But man, so I'll be honest. I honestly, as much as I like the bridegroom arc and that whole thing with Pei Jr., it's nice to see Pei Jr. now that we know the context that we know about him later on with Banyu. Like, his actions and his wordings seem a little bit more, they seem more intriguing, because I'm like, okay, knowing what we know about Pei Jr., his reaction to Zhangji, you could just see like the wheels turning in his head of him being like, okay, I don't want Banyu to end up like this. But man, the manhwa, they made Shanji look damn good. I was like, oh my gosh, she looks gorgeous in this. The whole manhwa, for the record, is stunning. It's beautiful. Going through there, we had our, Hua Chong. I love that the novel describes him as being so soft and so gentle around Shilian. but then everything else around them is in awe of how terrifying he is. And so it's like, there's so much intrigue with Hua Chong, and I'm like, I can't wait to find out more, but I just love that he's so dangerous, but to Shi Lian, he's like, he treats Shi Lian like a glass egg, and it's so great. But man, yeah, just the imagery. And for the record, they make Shi Lian look so good as a bride, like with the red lips and the hair all down and everything. I honestly kind of lamented that I was a little sad that we got to see the bridal gear go, because I liked Shi Lian in red. I liked him in the bridal gear, looking all very, very feminine. Even though Mixed describes him as an authentic male. He does look very beautiful with the bridal makeup and all of that on. And then the image of Hua Chong turning into butterflies and Shi Lian like shielding himself, like it's so gorgeous. It had like such a Spirited Away corpse bride feel to it. It was absolutely beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh, so gorgeous. But that's the thing, the manhwa and the novel both, they do this awesome thing where they describe things as being so beautiful and gorgeous, but then there are other parts that are so terrifyingly grotesque and creepy that you're like, what? Like, for example, the bandage boy in the manhwa, what? He looks terrifying. This little kid that's like all bandaged up and you just see his big eyes. The donghua did not make him look intimidating at all. The moment that picture showed up on the screen, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, wow, he looks a lot different. He looks kind of scary. And so I could see where some of the village stigma comes from. Because, in the donghua, he's just got some bandages. And I'm like, he just looks like a kid that got injured. This image, he looks like I could see why the village would be scared of him and might think he looks kind of ghostly. Like he could be the ghost, even though Ying, so we'll talk about Ying in a minute with the manhwa, even though Ying does not. But man, what an entrance there. I like that, going back to Hua Chong, what a way of like leaving. And I like that Shi Lian thinking to Ryu Yi was like, okay, I'm gonna go and take Ryu Yi, bandage him up, confine him, and then ask questions then. Like that was his whole plan. Which does beg the question, okay? And don't spoil me. Don't give me answers yet. Just let me stew on this. But it's weird to me that Hua Chong, who is this supreme level devastation rank ghost who can crush an entire spiritual ray by just stepping on it with his foot, was wanting to get away from Ryu Yi by a bandage. He was afraid of getting caught by a bandage. Did he not want to? Did he realize that he was going to have to like hurt the bandage in order to escape, and he didn't want to do that to Shi Lian because Shi Lian seems kind of attached to Ryu Yi? Was that it? Does Ryu Yi have some magical powers? Did San Long give Ryu Yi to Shi Lian at a former time and place and Shi Lian has forgotten? Are the bandages, is Ryu Yi the bandages that were around San Long / Hua Chong's face and we just don't know it yet and they're enchanted? Is there part of his soul? Did he rub his ashes in Ryu Yi and give them to Shi Lian? I don't know. There's so many questions. And I don't want to know answers yet because I know the novel's going to give them to us. But it's just like when you read a story for the first time like this, your mind just goes, here's all these theories. Don't know if they're going to be right. And so they're probably all going to be wrong. But that's okay. So I don't want spoilers. I'll figure it out and then we'll have a good laugh about this later, right? Because I don't mind being wrong. It's fine. But yeah, the Temple of Mingguang, which is General Pei for the north. We've established that Nanfeng and Fuyao's, the gods that they work for, are from the southeast and southwest. So we're getting kind of a little bit of distance there. But yeah, the women smelling of rot and the smiling corpses. Like the donghua, again, the donghua doesn't quite do it justice, right? The manhwa and the novel describe it so much more in detail, and I love the visuals that the manhwa gives to us. In Modao Zushi, the donghua is maybe my least favorite version, which is crazy because I love the donghua, and it's like the first one I watched, so I have a feeling that it's gonna maybe be the least favorite for this one too. I don't know yet. I've only heard one episode of the audio drama though, so I can't really judge anything by that. Can't really judge it, right? But yeah, so and we hear the child's lullaby again. We heard that again during all this. But Ying, it's just poor Zhao Ying. I felt for her in this because she was so sweet and was just trying to help the bandage boy and just trying to do the right thing, and she ends up dying over it. And so I do like that as we're going through this, it's interesting that we talk about Shi Lian and kind of his whole perspective and him wanting to like get the whole picture of Pei Ming. And I will give Shi Lian props. Shi Lian, his little internal monologue about Pei Ming is exactly my thoughts on him. Like, it's not just Shanji's fault. And I know a lot of people like Pei Ming, and I don't want spoilers about his character. I may not like his character now, and then 70 chapters later love his character. I've done that with characters before because, like Shi Lian says, we don't have the full picture, right? But Shi Lian does point out that it's not a one-way street. This isn't just Shanji's fault. He was a womanizer. He took advantage of her, and then he neglected to come see her after all this time. Now, whether or not that would have made things worse, we don't know. But the fact of the matter is, it did make things really bad, and Shi Lian's like, I can't judge. It's not our place. It's their business. He's like, I'm just going to put out the objective information here that it's not just one person's fault. And that seems to be kind of the case that we're slowly making with the ghostly realm versus the heavenly realm, that the heavenly realm likes to pawn off maybe some of its guilt onto the ghosts. And it's like, are they deserving of all that guilt? Or maybe are you guys just trying to make yourselves feel better? It's like, ooh, I don't know. It's interesting, right? And we get more with Chi-Rong. I have a feeling that I'm going to like Chi-Rong a lot. And not like Chi-Rong like, oh, what a great character. No. I kind of have an affinity for Trash Kings. If you've watched me react to other series, I kind of love Trash Kings. They're just so wonderful and ridiculous and over the top and just the worst, but in the best ways. And I have a feeling that Chi-Rong is going to be that type of character. And I have a feeling I'm going to like him. So we'll see when we get to him, of course. They're amping him up front from the get-go, which makes me think he's going to be one of the first major calamities that we see. I mean, we got Hoa Chong, obviously. We still have the white clothed one and the water one. But I have a feeling Chi-Rong's going to be the next one that we see because they're building him up. I'm like, they're building him up early. The white clothed one is in the wings. Honestly, like I said in the Donghua, I'm most scared of the white cloth calamity because it's the most mysterious. Whenever they have a villain in a series and they don't tell you a lot about them, but they just have this creepy, ominous image and they're like, you'll find out later. It's like, I don't know. He terrifies me. So that's the one I'm scared of the most. But Chi-Rong just sounds like he's going to be fun. A fun villain. I'm all for a fun villain. So yeah, I'm like Adam from Skate, Flock from Attack on Titan, our Trash Kings. I love them. So there's others, but I can't think of them right now. Or they're spoilery and I don't want to talk about them yet. So, you know. But yeah, so Shi Lian getting the whole picture on Pei Ming. And then, God, this Manhua spared no expense with Ying's death. Just, they showed her corpse like as a... I am glad the Manhua censored Ping's death because the little mob boss, because his death in the novel is absolutely terrifying. And here they just showed it. It was bloody and grisly, but they didn't show his skull getting ripped out of its flesh while still screaming. Didn't show that, thankfully. But they show little Zhao Ying, her body is like mangled and her eyes are like going in different directions and one of them's like bloodshot from getting hit from the trauma. I was like, oh my God, this is graphic. And then no wonder like the little bandage boy freaking out. And then Shi Lian saying, you're stronger than me. God, Shi Lian, have some self-worth, please. I want to give him all the hugs right now. But I love the visual of him saying that, and then the heavens open up, and that's when, like, she gets to actually speak a little bit before she dies, and that's when Pei Jr. and them come down to apprehend Shanji. And Shanji is gorgeous. She, like, looks, as a ghost, she looks beautiful. Like, all these ghosts so far have looked like models. I'm like, oh my God. And then Pei Jr. shows up to apprehend Shanji, and I like his look. I like how Pei Jr. looks in this. He looks kind of like the Donghua as Zhao, so I like that look on him. It's kind of how I expected it to be, which is good. But yeah, and Pei Jr. gets some more insights into Shanji and talks about, you know, the things that she did and everything. And you can just see the parallels of Shanji and Ban Yu just without the unrequited love angle of it. Like, because Ban Yu, she ended up betraying her people too, just like Shanji did. Only she did it, you know, kind of following. And Shi Lian points out the same thing. He's like, did she give up information because because Pei Ming asked for it. He's like, did Pei Ming ask her for the information? And because she was in love, she gave it up. Was that the case? Because I could totally see it being the case. And Shi Lian points it out, and that's kind of like a parallel to Pei Jr. being like, okay, well, we can stop the conflict if you do as I say, but it's your choice. And then she chooses. So Shanji and Ban Yu have very similar situations with them becoming ghosts, and except Shanji kills herself and Ban Yu is killed. But I feel like Ban Yu is a little bit more, she's a kid, and I feel like there's more content given to her character so that you empathize with her more. But her and Shanji are very similar. There's just not the unrequited yandere style love that's involved, right? And so yeah, but I like Pei Jr. showing up. It was great. And of course, we end chapter 11 right with them bandages coming off. I was like, oh, right with them bandages coming off. I can't wait to see it in the manhwa. I can't wait to read it in the next chapter. I'm like, it's an actual cliffhanger. It's just like an episode, was it episode 5 or episode 6? I think it was episode 4 or 5 is where this is ending off at. And I'm like, okay. So that's fun. That's a fun time. But anyway, so I do have some comments before we go on to the reaction to this extra and the song. I do have some comments from last week's video. So from the novel part 1 as well as the OVA. So C points out that I should react to One Flower, One Sword, which I'm going to do. And then the concept of SQLBH314, and several of you, but SQQ was the first one to point this out, but several of you did, noted that the concept of the alter ego or clone is common in Chinese fantasy. It's basically a weakened version of the original that can use the same type of magic. So kind of like the puppet that was in the one episode. San Long is a teenage persona that Hua Chong is shifted into, though not an alter ego. It is San Long is Hua Chong. There's no alter ego or clone there. It's literally him. He's just morphed himself into a different physical form, right? The word for alter ego in Chinese is also slang for man's middle leg. So Shi Lian saying Hua Chong's alter ego is so strong is, go back into the gutter. It's great. I thought that SQU, I laughed a lot at that comment. I'm like, yeah, so puns, censorship, who needs them? Anime Annie talked about how Shi Lian has forgotten parts of himself along the way and lost sight of who he is. And yeah, and lost sight of his dream. So that whole dream of saving the common folk, it seems like Shi Lian, in his angst and thinking that he was naive, has forgotten parts of who he was originally. And we kind of see that at the start of this, but Shi Lian's forgotten about it, which is sad. I love Kuki Stop's definition of Shi Lian in this, that Shi Lian is quote unquote radically kind and perpetually suffering for it. I was like, that so describes him so far, radically kind and perpetually suffering for it. I was like, that's like the whole General Hua thing all over again when we get to it. I was like, damn, that was a great line, Cookie Stop. I liked it. Alexander Q noted that the Chinese elements are water, fire, metal, earth, and wood, but not wind. Which I thought was interesting, because I'm thinking like Captain Planet, like earth, water, wind, fire, heart, co-planet. But I find it funny that wood and metal made it into elements. I guess I get wood. I consider earth to involve the forest and the leaves, like the tree trunks and the leaves, not to be separated. But metal surprises me as an element, because metal's kind of, it is naturally occurring, kind of, in most, but then it can also be man-made. It's interesting. Okay. But that, good to note. No wind. Yellow Soy talked about how the Chinese connotation for long is that it sounds like a, what did I put here? Something between lovers. A pet name between lovers. That Long could be a pet name between lovers. And so him saying, call me San Long, is like, call me this pet name. It's like, oh, okay. Makes a lot of sense, Yellow Soy. Sarah Linda commented about how San Long is a soul-shaped ghost. And I was like, yeah, so he's a ghost. So these ghosts take a physical shape, a form, if you will, kind of like Slimer from Ghostbusters, and it can have a physical tangibility to it, right? But then the question is, where is Ashes? And I don't want spoilers. None. I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to go ahead and tell you my theory. I don't want to know if I'm right or wrong. So if you comment down, please do not answer me if I'm right or wrong. I'm just going to bring out a theory. I don't want to get to where I don't want to do this because I'm going to be afraid people are going to be like, you're right or you're wrong. So don't spoil me. But I think that his ashes are in that damn ring that he gave Shilian at the end of the OVA. I think his ashes are in the ring and Shilian has the ring. So Shilian can do whatever he wants with it. That's where I think them ashes are. They're in that ring, or at least part of them are, but I could be wrong. I don't want to know until I find out in the novel. So there we go. Even if it's the last volume, if I have to wait that long, I will. Because I don't want to know. I want it to be a surprise. So yeah. So if someone has it, you can control them. Now, Sarah Linda did say the ring is... Sarah Linda did say the ring wasn't silver, and I was like, oh, don't tell me anymore. I was like, I don't want to know any specifics about these items. I want to find out as we go, because I'm going to read it in the novel, right? That I've already put back on the shelf. So I'm like, I don't want to know, but it's not silver. I thought it was maybe glass, maybe, but I don't want to know. Don't confirm or deconfirm. Don't, please. So yeah, but Four Sunsets talked about how Shilian's terrible knife fork in the OVA. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not a cook. I'm actually quite terrible. And so Four Sunsets was like, well, I can cook, but Shilian's doing the knife work all wrong. And I'm like, oh. And then apparently that the ads in the OVA have translations, and Song Long just keeps saying Gaga every chance he get. And I'm like, that's amazing. Just to get past the censorship. And so there should be links to more extras. Four Sunsets actually sent me some links, and I've saved them. There are going to be more extras to watch after this season 2 preview. So I probably will do one video after we're done with volume 1. I'll probably do a separate video and do the reaction. It'll probably be the same week that volume 1's video comes out. When volume 1 ends, I'll probably that same week do another reaction video where it is me reacting to the trailer as well as the extra links that Four Sunset saved me. Or I'll do it at the very end of that one volume video. I haven't decided yet. Molly MIJH said that every MXTX story has had a what does this say? Every MXTX story has a character with a fan. Every MXTX story has a character with a fan. Molly MIGH said that every MXTX story has a character with a fan. We had Hwasong and Modazushi, and now we have the Windmaster. And I'm like, hopefully the Windmaster and Hwasong are not the same, because that'd be kind of scary. We'll see, right? We'll see. Hopefully Hwasong and Windmaster are not the same. Hopefully they're not the same type of character. They just both happen to have a fan. We'll see. But anyway, Trixie Ella talks about how I liked this part of the Heaven Official's Blessing theme, that there is evil in kindness and kindness in evil. Kind of like a no good deed goes unpunished sort of scenario, that we're not so different, you and I. And I think that really ties to me what I think with the ghost in the heavenly realm so far is that, yeah, all this kindness isn't without a little bit of malice underneath, and all this malice isn't without maybe good intention or something good underneath the surface. Because even Shanji in this, even though she did horrible things, it was out of love. At the end of the day, she was just in love with Pei Ming and just wanted his love returned. And he couldn't return that love to her, and so she just kind of went off the deep end. But it's not like she was doing it out of necessarily hatred. It was out of love and wanting to see him. So it's kind of sad. Anna Naumara said that the scars, that in Chinese culture, the scars to the face could be seen as unsightly in ancient China. So maybe Hua Chong thinks that because he's missing an eye, he would be unsightly to Shilian. And that's why San Long has both eyes, and why we've not seen his original form. But I'm like, you don't have an eye, Hwasong, but the rest of you is a 10. So Shilian ain't gonna care. He can't do much to that eye. That eye can't do much to Shilian, except look at him. And so, yeah, that's interesting. That makes more sense that maybe he considers it unsightly because of how Chinese cultures were back then. So yeah, but those are my comments. To be honest, I do like this arc a bit, but I like the Banyu arc more because there's San Long. San Long / Hua Chong may be my favorite character alongside Shilian. I like Shilian a lot in this, but they're both my favorites. And so, but I may like San Long just a tad bit more than Shi Lian. I can't decide yet. I'm gonna wait till the end of this volume to know where I stand. But I like them together in this story. Anytime they're together, it's good. So the Banyu arc is especially fun, and I'm going to be excited to read it and see what all we get. But next week, we're going to be getting information about San Long / Hua Chong, and I'm super excited about that because I'm like, what all is the novel going to give us? So that's what I'm excited for. But in any case, we do have a few videos to watch. So we have this first extra, it's 5 minutes, and then we have the song. So I'm going to go ahead and get my headphones on. Obviously, for copyright reasons, I cannot show you all the audio. However, we will have the video up here, and then down in the link below is a link to Reviews Nana on Twitter. It's her review thing on there. And then also there will be a link to the song as well that I looked also, so you can support them. But yeah, so we are going to look at this extra first. It's from last week's episode, so I'll be curious to see what it's all about. And we're going to check it out here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Huh. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, this wasn't in there. I fell. Yeah, he fell when he left the Heavenly Court. The neck and wrists. Uh! Uh! Oh, did he get beheaded? A cursed shackle. Your punishment's over. Oh. Oh! Oh! Oh. Oh. Oh my God. Huh. Well, you want to start a problem? Of course he does. They don't listen. I gotta go take care of some things. Oh. Ha! Ha! Their banter's ridiculous. Oh, and this is why Feng Xin. Lord Dick. Ha! General Broom. Okay, so I was mistaken. I had them switched. I always forget that non-Fong is with Feng Xin. The Fong stay together. I've got to say the Fongs stay together. So that isn't that. So it isn't really the opposite. It's like Fu Yao running away. Oh. Ah. Oh. Oh. Hmm. So it wouldn't be that odd to think that Fu Yao ran away just like Mu Qing did. Okay. So it's they're more the same than they're different. Such a great steam bun. Huh. Is right here. Mm-hmm. Don't use me as a weapon to throw to each other. Ah. Hmm. 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 Throw me. Oh. Don't throw me. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my sweet bean. Oh. So, okay. So he fought the emperor when he came back a second time. He ran straight into the palace and fought the emperor and was instantly like in 30 minutes demoted. Oh, well that raises a lot of questions. Like why did he run straight to the emperor? Oh. Curiouser and curiouser. Now I'm curious. What the fudge? I don't want to know anymore. That's all. I got a breadcrumb. I got a breadcrumb to add to the pile. I don't want to know anymore, but that's, oh man. Interesting. I like when Shilian's like, don't use me as a weapon. I'm right here. Because they were saying, I was mistaken earlier in my discussion. I thought that, I always forget it's the Fongs stay together, that non-Fong is with Fong Shin, Fu Yao is with Mu Qing. So it makes more sense now that Fu Yao keeps wanting to run away because Mu Qing did as well, whereas non-Fong sticks around like Feng Shin did. Good to know. Good to know. Man, okay. So then let's do this song then. Y'all have requested that I listen to One Flower, One Sword by Ling Xingji, so I shall do it. Thou shall do it. All right? So, okay. Let's see what this sounds like, shall we? It's got English subtitles, so I'm excited. Okay. I forgot to do a countdown, so hopefully y'all can sync up to the video. And he was waiting to try to apprehend him with Rui. Mr. Smirk! Of Shinla. Shinla, right? Like a bird. Mm-hmm. And I just get a glimpse. Ooh, numerous green eyes. Oh. Oh, and the hands! Ooh! Ooh! Ah! And that's the ghost that he fought on the bridge. Yep. With the 3 questions. And 1 wish to help all beings. Ah. And then yeah, he sprinkled the dust on the tree. Yep, on the flowering tree. And that's when he ascended. And saw the emperor. In the disaster. Okay, so he's older there. Oh. Ooh. And that bridge again. Oh. And one man in the rain with a bamboo hat, which would be Shilian. The tree of flowers, I'm missing you. Oh! Oh! Was that him at the end? I'm gonna go back and look at this. Oh! I wanted to go back and look at that one part there. If that was him underneath with the umbrella. It was. He had the red umbrella. Oh, Shilian had the red umbrella. Oh! I thought. And they just dropped it there at the shrine. Like he lost faith in himself. But then the little boy found it and picked it up and he carried it on as Hua Chong, and Shilian hasn't seen the umbrella because he couldn't see it in the sinner's pit because it was too dark, and he couldn't see it because of the veil. He doesn't know it's the same umbrella, and he probably forgot because his mind only carries so many memories. Ah! This series is going to ruin me, isn't it? This is going to ruin me, isn't it? You all are just cackling, being like, Romania, we knew this would happen. Okay, so yeah, each time, obviously the teenager and the white bird, descending like a white bird, and the wind blowing away the face, I get a glimpse. So I like, in the darkest night are hidden numerous green eyes, like envious and greedy people, right? In the dark, waiting. Mm-hmm. And then we see Shilian catching him. I didn't notice their hands gripping like this is the same as when they were in the walk in the forest. He takes to the wind trail's pursuit of the voice. And it's like the little kid that saw him that saved him. A tree full of flowers wrapped in sweet clouds at Yinyan Bridge. Standing up against the holy court, he brings about shocks and thunderbolts. Things keep changing. It's my luck to have one flower, one sword, and one wish to help all beings. Okay, interesting. And it seems like it's from Hua Chong's perspective. And he's talking about Shilian. And yeah, now that we know what we know about Shilian's past, this all makes more sense. The mother country lost in the Mount Tai Kang disaster. We're going to find out about that eventually, so I'm going to file it away. And this is obviously when there was disaster after his first ascension that he thought he could go fix, right? So 3 years had passed. So we see the boy, and now he looks older. If he was 3 years older, then maybe that's okay. That's him older. Prosperity's gone, a beautiful face ruined in a devastating war. So is that when he lost his eye? Mm-hmm. But then we don't get to see what all ends up happening. A tree full of flowers blown away, dark clouds. So then when things go bad, and a heavy shower washes the white flowers clean. But the umbrella. Oh my gosh. And it all makes sense. And he just wants to see the two of them together. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Good deal. Oh man, that was so good. So good. So yeah, there we go. So we're already to the end of the corpse bride, the ghostly groom. We're already into that. I'm really excited for next week because we'll get more information about San Long, who that beautiful song was dedicated to. That's really good. It's cool that now that I've watched seen the manhwa and read the novel for the first part, all of that opening, I really want to go back and rewatch episode 1 now because I'm like, that will all make more sense. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, that was really awesome. I loved that. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts down below. I know it is going to be torturous for you not to spoil me, but I promise you it will be worth it when I get to be surprised by everything that's going to happen in this because I'm ready. I'm ready for it. So yeah, so basically I know a lot of people have asked what are we going to do if the audio drama is not continued. We're going to chug through. I don't know when season 2 of the Donghua is coming out. I don't know when the audio drama is going to get put back into place. I mean, if I spent $10 on one episode, I've spent $10 at a gas station on food before, so, you know, worse things could be bought. But yeah, so I think of Lucille Bluth, like, how much could this banana cost? $10? So in any case, we're going to just keep reading through the novel and the manhwa until I'm caught up with it. Because we went through chapters 5 to 12 of the manhwa, and I think there's only 80 chapters of the manhwa. So we'll catch up with the manhwa, I feel, pretty quickly. But I'm going to keep reading until and I'm going to keep reading the novel. And then as audio drama episodes come out, we'll incorporate them back in. And we'll just go from there. And then when season 2 of the Donghua comes out, we'll watch it. When the live action comes out, we'll watch it because I'm down another MXTX rabbit hole. I can't stop now. So the good news is I already have 3 volumes of Heaven Official's Blessing. So I already have 3 of the 8. 3 of the 8. It's going to be a long time, but I will get to Scumvillain's self-saving system eventually. But yeah, so that's the plan. We're going to keep reading the novel and the manhwa and then incorporate the audio drama as it comes. So, and any extras along the way. There's a behind the scenes video that we might watch next week that came with like a behind the scenes with the audio drama. So maybe we'll listen to it. It's like 25 minutes long though. It's pretty long. So I might save that for the end of the volume maybe. I don't know. We shall see. I'm still thinking about that. But in the meantime, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, hints, or clues. But I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe and take care. And I'll be back next week with part 3 of Heaven Official's Blessing. Bye.